Hello everyone, it's KaloaGames here today, and today we're not doing a build. As you can see, we're doing a create a sim video. This create a sim video is specifically tied to my last build, which was the container hideout build. If you haven't seen it, I will pop a card in the corner right now, so go check it out if you want. You can see this video first, that's fine. While I was building that, I created a whole story in my head, and then after building that, I had to create the Sims to live in it, and I really like the story, and I played them for a little bit in game. Not a lot, because I still had to edit the other video and, do other things. But I do think this story is really cool. So I want to share it with you. This first sim we're looking at first is called Braydon Land. His traits are active, paranoid, and bro. Paranoid is the new trait we got with Strangerville, and the aspiration is the Strangerville mystery. Braydon was an ex-military, and when the whole strangeness started in Strangerville, he decided to hide in a lot of abandoned containers. So he's kind of like the one who started the whole thing. So he's an ex-military. When he saw something shady, he just ran and hid because he's paranoid. And he really likes to work out, so he has a lot of workout equipment in the build. So yeah, also the first room you can see in the build, if you saw that, is his room with all the crazy posters and next to the entering office. Now we are moving on to the next sim. He is called Santiago Alexander. His traits are mean, perfectionist, and creative, and his aspiration is angling ace. He is basically not a very nice guy, except to his family, and he also has the woodworking skill, and he's actually the one, well, in my mind, in the story I've created, he's the one who just improved the whole container place and made it livable, because the other guy, Braydon, he doesn't know much about constructing stuff or making stairs or constructing furniture or adding windows to containers. So Santiago Alexander is the one who does all that, and he is actually the father of Emmit, which we will see later, and the husband of Micaela Roberson, which we will see after him. He's basically like a very kinda dad type of guy, like on what he wears, and he's just not very nice to the other people who live here. I should have mentioned there's 6 Sims living in this household. And yeah, this guy, even though I made him a young adult, I kinda imagine him to be like an adult, like older than Braydon. So if you wanna make him older in your game, if you wanna play with him, feel free to do so. I also wanted to mention I did do all their outfits. I believe everyone has just one outfit, but they have the normal, all the other outfits, and hot and cold as well. So now we're moving on to Micaela Roberson. Her traits are neat, foodie, and outgoing, and her aspiration is Master Chef. She's always looking out for everyone And even though she's only Emmit's mother, she's like the mother of the group, you know? Like the one who keeps everyone in line and doesn't let them fight with each other, because there's quite a few, well, especially Braydon and Santiago are quite temperamental. So for all these sims I'm creating today, I try to use as many Strangerville create a sim items as possible, which is why she's wearing this hair, which I'm not sure it suits her that well, but I really wanted to use it, so we're going with it. And yeah, I tried to use the Strangerville items. They're not like what I would wear, so I had a harder time styling them than I would have with other types of clothes. But I really like how the Sims turned out, and I really like their characters. If you saw the build, you can kind of see their personalities reflected through their rooms, because I was already thinking about the characters when I was building, even though I hadn't made them yet. And this is a lot of times how I build. I don't need to picture a person when I'm building, but it helps a lot to shape up a build and to give character to the build, because if I don't do that, the build just looks like any other generic space, you know? And I really like to make spaces as unique as I can. I try to have a little bit of fun with her makeup. For every day she doesn't use makeup, because of course they're in the Strangerville apocalypse. But I did give them fancy outfits. And I also created the Sims before playing or knowing the Strangerville story. So yes, my story with the Sims doesn't exactly, like, it's not perfect, because in the actual Strangerville story, people are acting as if nothing's happening. But I really, for the brief period I played with the Sims, I really enjoyed getting them to be isolated completely from the rest of the Sims, because none of them have jobs, because I thought that would just be kind of weird, given that it's supposed to be like an apocalypse kind of scenario. So I'm just running with that idea, because even though the Strangerville story is really cool, once you play it, it's done. So I thought it would be nice to have like a different way of playing it, like more of an apocalyptic way. So right now we are working on Emmit Alexander Roberson. He has only one trait, because he's a child, and it's perfectionist, after his father. And his mother is neat, so I feel like perfectionist and neat are like two sides of the same coin. But his aspiration is artistic prodigy. He is very creative, and I imagine him as someone who wants to paint everything. So he would be making a lot of messes in the ground with paint. So he's kind of an introverted kid, as I imagine him. Of course, I feel like it's always fun to play with kids, because you can create their character up since childhood. So you can, of course, imagine him however you want. But I imagine him as being a little bit of a loner and just caring about drawing and stuff like that. Now, we're working on a different family that lives in these containers. She is Anelise Breen. Excuse me while I get my notes so I don't forget all their traits. So her traits are loner and loves the outdoors. She's just kind of a hippie. She doesn't really care much for others. Her aspiration is freelance botanist. And she basically grows the plant so they can eat. And in gameplay, it was really fun trying to only create the recipes which we had the ingredients for. So that's like a really interesting challenge you can do if you want to play like an apocalyptic kind of playthrough. She prefers to talk to plants other than people. And she is a teen. You might be wondering why. And in my head, she's the daughter of some very influential people in Strangerville. But those very influential people started acting really crazy with the whole mother thing. And she got scared. And she didn't feel safe at home anymore. So she ran away with her little brother Dillan, which we're gonna see next, right after her. So she didn't feel safe at home anymore and she ran with her little brother. So her life is basically taking care of plants and taking care of her brother. She eventually found this group of people that were hiding, and she decided to hide with them and try to bring something to the table. Literally, because she brings the food to the table because she grows plants. Ha! So, yeah, actually in the lot I built in the container hideout, you can see all her plants, and all the plants I put there are plants you can eat and use for recipes. So I didn't put any flowers in because it would be a waste of space, in my opinion, in an apocalyptic scenario. So yeah, I really like her character. I think it's my favorite character to play from all of them. I always like loners because I'm kind of a loner myself. So yeah, that's Anelise. And she's wearing one of the new hairs, which I thought was very fitting for her. And yeah, as you can see, I randomized all the names and just made them what I thought was, well, also the Sims I randomized and I changed them up just a little bit, but not a whole lot, because I really like to just use randomized Sims as much as I can, because I feel like that gives me more diversity in my game. Anyways, this is Dillan Breen. He is active, and his aspiration is to be a rambunctious scamp. So he likes to run around, to play. He's always trying to get Emmit to play with him, but as I mentioned, Emmit is just kind of a loner and he just wants to draw in his container and maybe play, and that's it, and doesn't really want to do all Dillan wants to do, but Dillan still tries to drag him onto it. And he looks up to Braydon, the leader, well, not the leader, but the founder of the community. because he's really active and he thinks he's really cool and an ex-military and all that. So Dillan is just like a very high energy kid. And we are almost done with the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't checked out the build I did, check it out. And yeah, you can get them on the gallery, and see you later. Bye!